Hi everyone! In today's Badly Lit video, I'm going to be sharing with you my 2025 Eyeshadow Yearbook Awards. Now, every single eyeshadow that wins in its particular category has had to really earn its place. In other words, one of surprisingly several one-night stands that I have enjoyed with eyeshadow palettes do not make the cut. Now that's because I may have enjoyed a deep and profound pleasure and sometimes even ecstasy, but if I didn't want to go back, then frankly, that was the clue. I don't want to brag, but apparently I've still got it, so watch on. Let's start off strong with the palette most likely to be used all year. And you may not be that surprised that for me it is Danessa's Lightworks 7 palette. Now the thing about this palette is because there are these glorious mattes, it means that there is so much more versatility, and basically this is a palette for all seasons, all time of day and all situations, because you can do something really very subtle, very work friendly, very conservative friendly, and you can also amp it up if you want to and just go the full hog for full disco as well. I absolutely love it. This is a palette that since I bought it, and actually I think I might have delayed buying it had I not had this channel, so I kind of feel like I've got a lot of value out of it already in 2025, but it is marching into the new year with me, let me tell you. Now, when you look at it, you will see that, you know, it has been already very well loved and very well used. I was trying to think about, is there one standout shade? And the truth is, there's so many that I sort of can't pick out just the one shade. But look at these. I mean, from this, which I do actually wear because I love the shiftiness of it. If you can see, it goes into this sort of taupey green. But look at these beautiful, shiny, glassy shimmers and metallics. Absolutely lovely. But the mattes are delightful as well and so usable. What a terrific palette. And actually, it's not so much that it's a surprise. It's more that, for me, it's more of a surprise that it can be used in literally any situation, from the most conservative to the most out there. It's just absolutely delightful. I love it. I'm delighted by it. There's also this wonderful thing that Danessa has gifted us, which is basically the versatility of being able to swap the shades, which even though I was so sure that I would eventually have plucked up the courage to do, actually, the truth is that because I always seem to gravitate towards this, and then it's basically these two silvery greyish shades that I really enjoy, as well as that one. That's absolutely lovely. Look at that. Isn't that lovely? I've actually kept it like this, and I've taken these two actually away with me separately because it's so lovely to be able to have the little mirror and the little lid and just to be able to take it as a 6-pan. Just fantastic. I see this as, even though I think I'm right in saying it's the highest value apart from one of my awarded palettes, I see it as terrific value for money because of the actual versatility of it and in a way, the honesty of this palette, because if it really was kind of 18 amazing metallics and shimmers, it would still not have that versatility because we're always going to need, or certainly for me anyway, I'm always going to need mattes at some point in my makeup, with a couple of exceptions, but generally I want something to, in the crease perhaps, to give me a little bit more definition, or, you know, in the underneath part of my eye, I don't always want a metallic finish. But really, it's the inclusion of the mattes that for me makes this a palette for all seasons and just a clear winner. And I'm so happy to be able to start so strong with this video because actually, while there are lots and lots of other really interesting palettes I want to share with you, this has been an absolute standout, and I'm so delighted because actually it's the first of the big Lightworks that I've been really excited by, and that's really because of the inclusion of these glorious mattes. Absolutely glorious. The 2025 award for palette least likely to let you down, in other words, the best neutral palette, goes to Dolce & Gabbana Ever Icon in 001 Amber Venus. Now, here it is. I also have, as you know if you've watched my review when these first launched, 03 in Chrome Star. I think both of these palettes are utterly worthy of this award, depending on whether you want a cool neutral or a warm neutral. Now, I'm away at the moment, and the one I took was this one. I think it's perfection. It is so easy to use. It's kind of idiot-proof. By that, I mean, you know those mornings when you really, really don't want to think, and you may, if you're me, be half asleep. You can still do something beautiful and quick and easy. It's just amazing. And this shade is probably the standout out of all of them. As much as they are all lovely, they're buttery, they blend, it's just no sweat. It's super quick. Under a minute, you can get something really beautiful on your eyes. But it is this beautiful kind of soft shimmer, glassy shade. Can you see that? It's like morning sunshine dancing on the sea off the Amalfi Coast. Can you imagine? You kind of know what I'm fantasizing about because I'm in the English countryside at the moment. Let me tell you, very far removed from the Amalfi Coast, even this time of year. However, this shade is just glorious, a really wonderful topper shade, just to give you a little bit of more dimension, but it's never too much. What a glorious, glorious palette this is. And as I said, Chrome Star, equally, utterly gorgeous. Really, really lovely. I keep saying that I should buy 02, which is the beautiful pinks. I still haven't bought them, but I have to buy them. The minute I'm back in London, I need to buy them. The formula in this palette is just glorious, perfect, so blendable. As I said, idiot-proof. However sleepy you are, however distracted, you'll never mess it up. It's just, that's how I feel about this palette. It's just beautiful. And the packaging may or may not be to your taste. Me, I love a bit of Baroque. I'm totally here for it. Why not? But I just think it's absolutely lovely and really well won, I feel, this award for this palette, you know? Well, just very, very well deserved. The next award is actually a more personal one to me. It is an award for the palette most likely to change the game for 2026. And let me tell you why. The winner is Chanel Nuit Astrale. Now, I'm not the first person to rave about this palette by any means. However, as anybody who's been on this channel will know, I'm not a Chanel eyeshadow fan, and I'm not a Dior eyeshadow fan. I kind of keep giving them a go because I know it's sort of helpful for us to review it together. I'm also kind of on the lookout because I want to have my view changed. This was the absolute game changer for me this year. It's just the most perfect, cool, soft, shimmery palette. Just these beautiful, cool blues, leaning a little bit lavender, but not too much, blend beautifully, last very well, no significant fallout, just utterly lovely. And this was the time, this was the moment when I thought, oh, this is how people feel about Chanel, because I've not felt that about Chanel. I feel at any point. And actually, it's because I have this channel that I ended up giving this a chance, because I was looking at the 9 pans and kind of circling them and, you know, stalking them. And they weren't going to be for me. And other Chanel palettes that I tried just didn't have that pigmentation. But this is the game changer. I have worn and worn and worn this, and I've just absolutely loved it. I'm so, so pleased. I kind of feel like I'm, in the game now with Chanel, and I kind of really want to look at what else is going to be on offer in 2026 with a slightly more positive attitude, because I kind of feel if they can win me with this little baby, then surely that can happen again. I want to be won over. I want to be delighted by the pigments and not be disappointed, and to feel excited. So this really has been an absolute delightful addition to my collection. I honestly thought and hoped that actually it would be Misty Iris from Dior that would be winning this award. But actually what happened, this ended up being not so much a one-night stand, but maybe a few nights. But then it basically became, it didn't tick all the boxes. It wasn't right. It was just that little bit too metallic, felt a little bit dated on me in terms of the look, and it just didn't, you know, it didn't win it. It didn't get there. But this one really, really has, and I've worn it in a number of situations as well. The shades are glorious, they really are, and what I love about them is it just can give me the most subtle sheen on my eyelids, just so lovely, so perfect, and with a little bit of a grey liner, and you know, even not even wearing the sort of mauvey grey, well, purpley grey mascara that I also bought, just wearing a black mascara, just glorious, really lovely. I cannot recommend it enough. And actually, the way you know I've been using it is I've got rid of the cover, and I've got rid of the little applicators as well, because I just want to get my paws on it as quickly as possible in the mornings. I really, really love it. So well deserved. The award for most surprising glow up, in other words, the palette that most surprised me, maybe not you, and probably not you actually, was Isamaya's Core 2.0. Now, I bought this for review purposes. There was a lot of fuss at the time, and I was on the fence. I think basically I didn't really appreciate what this palette actually does. And so, partly spurred on by so many of you who clearly really love the brand and clearly love these particular palettes and the sort of the new incarnation, you kind of spurred me on, not so much to change my attitude, but to keep giving it a go. So I'll tell you the attitude that I took. Was it in Indian Matchmaker, the series, or was it in Jewish Matchmaker, or was it one of the others, which is basically date him till you hate him. And I took that approach to this. In other words, I kept using it thinking, I'm going to keep using it until I decide one way or the other. I either am going to end up loving it or I'm going to end up hating it, and then it's just not for me, and that's absolutely fine. And, well, reader, I married him or her because I'm a total convert. I have got the zeal of the converted. I get it now, and I didn't get it at the time. And actually, I was a bit dismissive, I think, because I was vacillating and I didn't get it. But now I do. I love this palette. I really, really do. I'm wearing it at the moment. I just adore it. I really do. There are so many standout shades. In fact, I think there isn't one that I'm not completely bananas over. It does need a companion palette for me. It does need a matte palette, more of that later. But that's not a hardship. I would say what it is with this palette is I'm less likely to take it away with me simply because it's, for me, it's not the complete package in the sense that it doesn't have the mattes. But is that such a big deal? Apparently not, because I've still taken it away with me. And in fact, I'm away now, and I would absolutely have taken it away with me over this period, even if I wasn't going to be filming and talking about this, because this is very much a festive type of palette. That's not to say it's limited to festivities, but it has got that kind of exuberance and so many standout shades. I mean, just look at that. Aren't they beautiful? But I'm not just drawn to the bluey shades. Look at that. I mean, look at this one here. Look at that. And this, delightful, heavenly. Some of the shades do have a bit of fallout, but I can cope with it. It's not terrible. You know, I tend to do my eye makeup first and then put my concealer and my foundation afterwards. It doesn't fall down. It doesn't sort of fall out throughout the day. Absolutely lovely. I mean, I'm not mad on the kidney shape. I'm not. But that is a me problem, not a you problem, undoubtedly. And also, I do find it difficult to kind of find my way around the palette because, as I've said before, I like squares and I like rectangles, and I don't have a very good sense of direction. I'm, despite repeatedly applying for the position, I don't think I'm ever going to be an air traffic controller. And I think I'm slowly reaching the stage in my life where I'm coming to terms with it. However, the truth is that I tend to only use one or two shades at the same time, so it's okay. I do manage, I do. I've had to keep this to remind myself, you see, it really does look like an insole, doesn't it? It really does. Or a set of kind of Pluto ears, but I had to keep this because it does help me find my way around the palette, and I do quite like looking up on the website what the different shades do, because I can't always remember. However, that's really not the point. The point is, this is wonderful. I do kind of wish I'd bought the 01 as well, and I may yet do that actually, because frankly, why not? I am a convert. What can I say? I am absolutely a convert, and this has really, really earned its awards, and I'm glad I kept going. I really am, and I just think that's probably going to be a mantra that I'm going to, you know, go into 2026 with. Date him till you hate him, because actually some palettes for me are a slow burn, and they require and they deserve the respect of time, as it were. Who knew? Who knew? The award for most likely to steal the spotlight goes on a limited edition, very special palette from Mcgrath, which was Gilded Nirvana. Now, I didn't expect to like this as much as I did, only because I didn't like the mothership of 2025, and I'm not particularly, it's a bit like Chanel really, I'm not particularly a massive Pat McGrath palette lover. The ones I have, I enjoy, but I don't have very many of them, and very often I've sort of not been attracted to them. But this is lovely, and I can see myself taking this away with me on my summer holidays in the Med, simply because this kind of sparkly one and done is something that I wear a lot in the evenings. I mean, look at this. Isn't that absolutely lovely? Just so smooth, so beautiful, no fallout. The shades are just really lovely, so dramatic. Everything that I want in a kind of festive, over-the-top, dramatic palette. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and I'm so thrilled that I got it. Now, I know that it's sort of quite contentious, isn't it? A lot of people didn't want to buy it. They felt it was overpriced, and certainly if you've got it on a deal and got it on one of the very big discounts that have been offered in the last few weeks, then hopefully you too will feel the way I do. It's just that you've spent less money, which is, you know, a big deal, so good for you. I just think this was worth it. I really do. I don't resent what I spent on it. Obviously I paid full price. I bought it for review purposes, so I had to be quick, but I just think it's absolutely lovely. I'm delighted, absolutely delighted that I've got it. I mean, look at that. So lovely. If you are a metallic, if you're a bright metallic lover, then I don't see how you would have been disappointed by this. Also, the formula is so beautiful, so creamy. I'm just so delighted and sold on it. Also, what I like about it is just the lightest dusting on your eyelids can just give you a very, very sheer, beautiful application with some lovely luminosity without looking too kind of razzle-dazzle. It's just a total win for me. Plus, I just want to say, I do like the packaging. I do. I mean, I've said before with the Dolce & Gabbana, I like a bit of Baroque, and this to me is a nod to that as well. I really enjoy the artwork. I think it's great. I love it. I really do love it. The award for the palette most likely to make you late because you keep adding one more shade, speaking for a friend, goes to Byredo's Bibliophilia. Now, this was a very new purchase for me because I've not bought Byredo before. The one that I wanted that got away was Mineralcapes, so I was always going to try this no matter what. At first I thought, I'm really not going to use this side of the palette because why would I want to wear reds when in the past when I've tried them, they haven't looked great on me. But these are absolutely exceptional. So soft, so smooth, not kind of bright red, infernal kind of phoenix colours, but much softer and beautiful. And you can tell because I really have used these. You can see where I've been sort of really dipping in and sometimes just using my finger as well. This is an easy part of the palette for me. It's a slam dunk. These lovely cool neutrals with some silvers and champagnes, glorious. But honestly, the reason why this wins this award and why I have been late several times is because I start off just, you know, in my comfort zone over here and then immediately get drawn to this side of the palette because the shades are just so easy to use, so blendable, so flattering. I've not created a look from this palette that I've thought, That's probably a bit much, or it doesn't suit me, I better start again. You know, really easy, absolutely delightful. And what a great advert for me for Byredo, because as we all know, the new one's coming out soon. I'm going to be here for it regardless. You know, so often this year I've bought product for review purposes and I've either been won over or I haven't. But honestly, with this experience, I would definitely be buying the next Byredo palette, whether I had this channel or not. I'm just totally sold. If the formulas are the same as they are for this, then, you know, I don't think disappointment is on the horizon at all in the new year. This is just great. Now, in terms of standout shades, there's so many of them. Look at these. I mean, if you haven't tried it, look at these shades. Absolutely lovely. The neutrals are glorious as well. Really easy, really blendable, just really lovely. Look at that. So soft, so easy, so quick to apply. No effort at all. They last throughout the day. There's no fallout. They blend like a dream. More often than not, I only actually use one brush, you know, it can be done. Just really, really easy. Wonderful. And a very good kind of workaday palette. In other words, if you're in an office and you just want to do your makeup sort of after the gym, before you go to the office or whatever, this palette really is the complete kind of one and done palette, in the sense that you can do any kind of look. You can just do, you know, a wash of shade. You can do complicated, you know, more artistry looks. Just lovely. Great value. Good size mirror, I have to say. The only thing I don't like, and you know, I know it's a thing, and it's, I hate the fingerprinty version, not fingerprinty quality to it, you know. And I'm not totally mad on this, you know, the bit from Little Women just sort of scrunched up. I know it looks lovely. Well, it doesn't actually. I find it slightly annoying, but because it kind of does feel on my desk like I've scrunched up a piece of paper and I need to shred it or throw it away, but that's a personal thing. However, this is a glorious, wonderful palette, and it really deserves its place. And really, it has happened to me that I've ended up being late because I've just ended up being tempted by so many of the shades. There's not a single dud shade in this palette, which is quite something in 18 shades, I have to say. The award for most likely to be included in a will goes to Louis Vuitton's Dazzling Gaze, and it really is dazzling. This is a corker of a quad. Now, if it was made by somebody else in the LVMH stable, apart from Louis Vuitton, let's say it could be made by either Dior or Guerlain or Givenchy or any of the others, then this would be included in this, you know, top 2025 eyeshadow palettes. I don't know which award it would win. However, the phenomenal cost of this palette, if not the quad, because as we know we can buy them as refills, means that it is very much worthy of this award. And I have to say, there weren't really any other contenders because, you know, as we know, Louis Vuitton blew everybody out of the water when it comes to cost. However, these shadows, I think, are so lovely, so ethereal. There is one standout shade, which is this one. And actually, it is this standout shade that has stopped me buying any of the other quads, because at the time when I bought these to review, I bought this one and I bought the blue one, Something Sky, which I thought was okay. I've got other blues that are kind of better. But this shade, this beautiful pink with a bit of peach and gorgeous goldy flecks, I don't have anywhere in my collection. And actually, the quality of this quad is just superb. And I've worn it and enjoyed it, and I absolutely love it. Is it worth the cost? No, of course it's not. Of course it's not. But as a quad, as a refill, it kind of, you know, compares very well with others. It's just that it's housed in a bit of plastic, and then you've got to do the whole Amazon thing of buying another little metallic dish, which I don't really want to do. So, you know, that's it. But this particular colour story, I think, is absolutely glorious. Now, most likely to be left in a will, you know, I think I'd be a little bit hard done by if my great aunt, whom I had nursed through thick and thin, left me just this. I would expect something better, maybe a country estate, for example. But actually, you may be wondering what I've got on my head. I'm practicing because what I really want is a really good tiara, preferably made by Cartier, because I went to the Cartier exhibition a few months ago actually in London at the V&A, and that really is what got me thinking. So I'm practicing, okay? Because as Brian Tracy tells us, a goal without a plan is just a dream. So, you know, I'm practicing. I think it's fine. To fail to prepare is to prepare to fail. So I'll have to I won't be able to wear it sort of in my country estate if I get that first, because of the bells, and the bells will alert the staff, and I do feel you want to keep your staff, you know, on their toes, or so I've read. So really I need to sort of get rid of the bells so they don't hear me coming, you know. I want to keep that standard up, but actually it is a tiara that I need. But anyway, I digress. My point is, Dazzling Gaze is the most corking quad. It really is. It's just really lovely. All 4 shades are super blendable. They last, my goodness. This quad can keep going for 12 hours. It really does. It's just beautiful on the eyelids. It's just so lovely. And I suppose in a way, it kind of belies the fuss that was made over the Louis Vuitton and the sort of distraction about the sheer cost of this compact, which may or may not be to your taste. You may or may not feel it's worth it. But the actual eyeshadows themselves, I could feel Pat McGrath's hand. I could feel that quality and that attention to detail. Really lovely and a worthy award winner. I've removed my makeshift tiara because I want to stay humble, and also I want to limit the risk of being, you know, attacked by the mob come the revolution. Anyway, here is a very special award at the halfway point of this video, and it is the award entitled Most Likely to Stay Single. Now, who could win this award? Let me tell you, it goes to the most gorgeous shade that Suqqu released this year, and it is P02 Rinrai. I have really worn this a lot. Can you see the little crater? I haven't hit pan yet because you actually don't need very much of this. This is an astounding shade and an astounding formula. Now, I bought several of these, but this is the one that I just keep going back to. And actually, I did something that I should have done at some point this year. And no, I'm not referring to a one-night stand. I'm going to tell you what it is because it actually tells us something about this shade. Look at that luster. Isn't it gorgeous? Now, it's technically part of their prismatic range of singles. Their singles come in satins, mattes, lusters and prisms. And I did buy a range. This is the standout. And it shouldn't really be in this video because it's not a palette in the traditional sense. However, I feel bad, and I feel that he's a bit hard done by, this little one, because in a recent video of One and Done's, this was going to be right at the end of wonderful singles, but slightly frustrating because I know it's not available very easily to the rest of the world, and I know it's difficult. So, you know, in the same way that I don't watch videos about yachts because I can't get one, I didn't want to frustrate everybody. But then what happened was I literally didn't turn the last page of my notes, and so this little one was left off, and it's very unfair because it's just the most wonderful One and Done, and that's why it deserves its place here as most likely to stay single. It is the most glorious shade. All you need to do is put it on your lid and that's it. It's just extraordinary. It's got dimension, it's got longevity, it's smooth on the lids. You can either use your finger or use a brush, whatever you do, it's just absolutely glorious. And I wanted to include it in here because it absolutely deserves its place amongst all these palettes, because one little shade does what you would, under normal circumstances, require 3 shades to do. It is absolutely extraordinary. Now, the thing that I did that I should have done at some other point in this year was look up, what does the shade name mean? Now, the shade in English is given to us as Rinrai, and I looked it up. as to what it means in Japanese. And the reason why I want to share this with you, is that to me it encapsulates why Suqqu is such a wonderful brand. Because how's this for a description? And it really is on how I feel about this shade. And if you have it, you may well feel the same way. It is a compound, and it means the arrival of quiet strength or poise that emerges. And that's such a good description. It's beauty that doesn't shout, you know, it doesn't sort of announce itself in a dramatic way. You have to look at it and then look at it again to kind of appreciate its depth and its beauty. It's not obvious glamour, it's subtle. It's all about subtlety. Can you see that? It's got a refined luminosity to it, which is just wonderful. And this is why I can't stop wearing this shade. Understated at first glance, but gives you more and more the more you look at it. I wanted to include it here because it is so much more than the single sum of its parts. It really is. And if you can get your hands on it, I urge you to do so. P02 Rinrai. What a shade. It's just wonderful and extraordinary. The award for most likely to be invited on vacation, and I have proven this actually, goes to Charlotte Tilbury's Beautifying Eye Effects, particularly Denim Dimensions and Emerald Effect. Now, I took these on my summer holiday this year, and I wore them and wore them and wore them. I think this sort of range is great. I originally bought these two, I believe, for review purposes, and I was kind of, you know, I was really wowed, actually. I thought they were fantastic. Generally, I do love Charlotte Tilbury eyeshadows, although I have been very, very, very underwhelmed by her Christmas release. I got the one palette, and I just thought it was a bit rubbish, really. Anyway, however, these are fantastic. I've ended up buying all of them for my own use. I don't think I reviewed any of the others, actually. I bought the one that I have used the least, and I'm not entirely surprised because I think I did a short or something on this. This one is the one which is Super Neutrals. I thought I would love this because I loved Charlotte's matte neutrals, and so I thought it would kind of be like that. And this is actually the one I've used the least. However, I just opened this like a couple of hours ago to have a look, and apparently I haven't ignored it as much as I thought I had, because these are the shades. I've used this one a lot, and this one, and this one, and I know I've used these very soft greys. Actually, this has been a palette that I've had in the glove box of my car. Yes, I am like that, because you can kind of smush it. So I have obviously used it on and off, but I think it's, for me, it's the most sort of, it's the weakest of the six for my own use. I know it's really popular because they are lovely shades. However, I ended up buying this one as well, Pink Love, and well, loving it. It's just great. Really, really wearable, soft, beautiful, matte, as is true of all of them, blendable, beautiful. The shimmers are lovely. There's not a lot of fallout. There's a couple of shades that do have a bit of fallout, but it's all, firstly, it's a little bit of fallout, and secondly, it's kind of worth it because the shades are so good and the toppers are brilliant. And actually, even Digital Lilac and Sensual Sunset, I've worn this a lot as well. They were just all great. They were very contentious at the time because £49, I forget what it is in dollars, was deemed to be a lot. The packaging was deemed to be cheap, but she had made them for makeup artists. And actually, for somebody like me who is a bit slow, I kind of appreciate the fact that I can just grab the right one and I'm not fiddling about, opening and, having a look. I find this fine. And actually, £49, given the way the market ended up going, I don't think it's bad value at all for 9 good quality shades if you really, really love them. And actually, these are the two I keep going back to. They have been fantastic in my summer holidays. Actually, over the Christmas period, I've worn these greeny, earthy tones. I adore this kind of shade, these kind of shades anyway. I mean, what is not to like? All of them are just gorgeous, all of them. I mean, especially this kind of turquoisey shade, but then also the green next to it. Look at that green. Isn't that lovely? And this kind of mossy, metallic-y shade, just lovely. I just really rate these. They were limited edition. I'm not even sure they're available anymore. I hope you, if you're anything like me, I hope you caught at least one of these, because I think they were worth it. And actually, honestly, as I said, looking back, they don't seem that bad value now. Just lovely. Very, very usable, small. I know you haven't got the mirror, you haven't got any of that, but frankly, you're not paying for it. You pays your money, you makes your choice. I just think these were fantastic. And as I've said, particularly for vacations, because you get a lot in this tiny little package. So if you're somebody who doesn't want to take a lot of makeup, and I'm not like that, but if I imagine myself to be somebody who's very much a minimalist when it comes to packing, you get, you get a lot of bang for your buck and a lot of bang for your space in your little valise, it seems to me. These are just fantastic. The palette that wins the award for most likely to be spotted on the front row, in other words, the palette that's most stylish and in a most sort of unexpected way, goes to Danessa's Freedom palette in Pastel Dreams. This is an absolute corker. When photos started to come out on social media of this, I was so excited and I knew it had to be for me. However, even my expectations were superseded because I did not stop wearing this throughout the summer. And in fact, I still dip into it, and I'll tell you why. The quality of the mattes are so beautiful and so soft that if I just look at these two, this sort of lovely, what have I done? Yeah, this lovely sort of brown matte, and then this really beautiful shimmer. How wearable is that just on an everyday? Just so lovely. The turquoise and the mauvey pinky shades, also super wearable. You don't have to go full glitz to get the most out of this palette. I have used all these shades. Probably the one I've used the least is this one. But I have to say, over the summer, I did use it a lot. There's a little pop of colour on the inner corner, even still using these kind of brownie shades and just putting that on the inner corner. Just really lovely. It is these mattes really that sold me onto the palette that we looked at the very beginning of this video, way back when, in the Lightwork 7, because these mattes are so soft, so forgiving, so good on a mature, dry eyelid. Just no problem at all, so smooth, so long lasting. This is just such a glorious, glorious palette. I absolutely love it. If she brought out another little palette in a sort of, also in sort of, pretty ambitious shades over here, but still with these very workable and usable metallics and shimmers, I would still be here for it. My cup runneth over between this and the Lightwork 7. I feel like I've got so much now in my arsenal, but I still have more because the quality of these is just absolutely divine. I didn't stop using this throughout the summer. Basically, between these and the Denim Dimensions that I've just mentioned and Emerald Effects, I was kind of pretty much covered throughout the summer. I really was, because Emerald Effects, as you know, has got these lovely earthy tones. These are just so wearable, these very, very soft, bronzy, goldy shades. So lovely. But also, look at these two. Just soft, lovely, very, very wearable, wonderful, wonderful shades. And this palette so richly deserves this award because really, it was quite unexpected in the sense that I thought I would be using this very much in a kind of bright, for the days that I want something very bright on my eyelids. But actually, if you use them sensitively with the right kind of feathery, soft brush, and actually, I don't remember when the Shadows came out. I think they came out a bit later. You want that kind of brush. You want that kind of very feathery, very light, probably, hairs of different length, just to get a slight kind of ethereal look. You really can achieve it with this. It doesn't have to be a kind of full-on, dramatic, theatrical look. It really doesn't. The formula is absolutely flawless. And actually, just the way it is, I mean, I don't tend to use mirrors, but it does come with a mirror. It's super, you know, it's super usable and super stackable with obviously the rest of the Lightwork. But it's just, you know, it's so economic with space and, you know, in terms of your makeup bag. You can just slip it into your makeup bag. Just fabulous. Really wonderful. I'm so glad that I got it. I think it's back in stock, but it does tend to go in and out of stock. You know, it's just one of those things. But this is worthy of catching it if you can. The award for most likely to be a lifelong friend goes to Natasha Denona's Eye Sculpt Soft Palette. Now, this is a very recent purchase of mine. In fact, I wasn't going to buy it. I only bought it because I think I got 30% off on Black Friday or, you know, around that time. I got it in soft because the darker one is definitely too dark for me. Here's why I bought it. Around this time last year, this came out and I have worn and worn and worn pretty much every day. Every day that I wear makeup, I have worn this. I hit pan, as you can see, on the middle one, and I'm about to hit pan on this one. And I was going to buy another one. Then the rumours came out that there was maybe a cooler version of it to come out. And I basically did the calculation because I thought I don't really want to buy the cool one instead of this because I wanted another one of these. And then I realised, actually, with the discount, I may as well get the whole shebang. As I said, the reason why I wasn't going to buy it is I would, for my money, and I still feel this, would like two really good shimmers. As it happens, the two that are here are they're much gentler and softer. That's not to say I haven't worn them and enjoyed them. I think I would like something that gave me a bit more, you know, a bit more pizzazz. My problem with the Bieber palette, which I bought many years ago, but I didn't buy it when it was fresh out of the gate, is I found it a bit dull as a palette. And actually, I kind of thought I'm going to have the same with this. However, from a value point of view, this is the most terrific value. And actually, I am delighted. And I really think, or I know, if I paid full price, let's say I'd done it for review purposes, which I kind of decided I wouldn't do, I wouldn't be disappointed. I have used this a lot in the sort of limited time that I've had it, and I'm not disappointed at all. In terms of travel, I'm keeping this for traveling because it's so small and compact, so I can keep it, you know, and not hit ban basically any sooner than I need to. This has been absolutely fantastic. I'm wearing it at the moment. I've got the Isamaya, I've got two Isamaya shimmers on my eyelids, and I have basically, you know, carved out the crease and put a little bit of shading using these. What I love about this is she has made it completely idiot proof because I've got everything. I've got pinks, I've got peaches, I've got cools, I've got deeper tones. It's absolutely perfect. It's perfect for my skin tone. As I said, the deeper one, even though there's at least one shimmer actually that I thought looked really lovely, the rest of the tones are way too deep for me. I prefer to have much lighter tones for mattes. However, this is just wonderful. I'm delighted. I'm so thrilled with it. It's also not as big as I thought it was going to be. I thought for the number of shades that we get in here, it's going to be really cumbersome, and actually it's not. And it probably wouldn't be the end of the world for me to take it on holiday, frankly, if I was going to take maybe two shimmery palettes with me like the Isamaya and maybe one other. But all I'm saying is for its purpose of, you know, every day having that friend in my makeup drawer that I can always depend on for an eyeliner or, you know, a transition shade, or even frankly, and I have used it several times like that, as a complete palette, just to create a really lovely peachy look with a little bit of shimmer from either one of these shimmery shades. Let me just find them so I can, it's these two here. Ooh, there we go. Again, back to Boy Scouts Honour. So this lovely, it's a very soft oystery shade on me, and this is a sort of a cooler chocolatey brown shade. But again, it's not really anything kind of, you know, there's a lovely smoothness to them, but it's not kind of, you know, a really dazzling metallic. It's just a lovely softness to them. Really lovely. As I said, I would have preferred another lighter, maybe peachy there, just so it could be more of a complete palette. But I'm still delighted with it. I'm really pleased I bought it. I was quite pleased with myself getting, I think it was 30%, or at the very least 25%. So, you know, I was pleased. I felt it was like a good use of Black Friday, you know. But my point is that for the money, given that these are, I think, £25, £26 each, which has been astounding value for me all year round. I've worn it, as I said, almost every day that I do my makeup. You know, this is now, it's been superseded really by the big mama of it. Really lovely, really lovely. My only regret, I feel, is if there was a third version, I would probably want to buy the in-between to the soft, and I don't know what the other one's called, forgive me, but the deeper one. If there was an in-between, I would have bought both of them. And as I said, I'd like a couple more shimmers, but I think that probably defeats the object because that's not really what these are made for. These are made for, it feels to me, like a lovely, soft, sculpted look that you can create so easily. And it comes with a little card inside, which I have kept. Have I got it? I've got it here. It looks like that. And I'm so grateful for it because I use it pretty much every day. Tells you where to put it and gives you shade descriptions as well. So if you're stuck, as I was to begin with, you know, what interesting look could I create? I just followed that. Pretty idiot proof, you know. And as I said, for somebody with no sense of direction, Natasha's given me the direction and I really, really needed that. The award for most likely to make a comeback in 2026 goes to Lisa Eldridge's Betty palette, which is an absolute delight and I still enjoy using. If you didn't catch it this time round, because it was limited edition, Lisa did tell us about 8 weeks ago, something like that, on her social media that Betty is going to make a comeback. I think she said in spring 2026. So it's definitely worth keeping a lookout because these shades are just so wearable. Soft lilacs, lavenders, lovely cool shades as well. Even though there are 6 metallics and sort of shimmers here, they're so wearable and so soft. It's sort of slightly miraculous. You don't miss the mattes. It's kind of counterintuitive, really, but you really don't miss them. They're just lovely and they just work so well together. It's just a really lovely palette. It's been a real winner. I loved it when it came out. I then used it quite a lot over the summertime. Haven't used it recently, actually, to be honest with you, because I kind of forgot about it. It's not so much that they're just spring tones. They're the kind of tones I quite like wearing most of the time anyway. Look at this sort of warm bronze, and as I said, these kind of taupes, really easy to wear with a pop of colour in the corner. Just very, very easy indeed. It's a bit of a cheat, isn't it, that I call this award most likely to make a comeback when we do know it's going to make a comeback. However, it's a bit like these awards are kind of, you know, run by FIFA. Think of it that way. There's sort of corruption in the air one way or another. What can I say? You know, they came to me and they made me an offer that I couldn't refuse. The award for most likely to change your mind goes to Hourglass's Curator Quads. They look like this. The one that I've got and I really, really enjoy more than I thought I would is Expressionist. But all of them are in this absolute standout formula, which I feel is a formula for people who don't normally like to wear eyeshadows. In other words, they are just so creamy and smooth and forgiving on a very mature and very dry eyelid that it's a kind of no-brainer. And that's where the sort of changing your mind comes into. It could be that somebody just doesn't want to wear eyeshadow. These are the ones that I feel out of this whole year are most likely to change your mind because they go on like an absolute dream. As it happens, this one, Expressionist, they are 4 metallics, but they're very, very soft metallics. They're not shimmery, shiny metallics. I mean, look, it's this kind of metallic. It's very soft, very finely milled, goes on like an absolute dream. Just very, very soft. So wonderful. The standout shade, I feel, is this one, Soft Opal, simply because if you put a little bit of that in the inner corner and then use this very soft bronze, can you see that? It's so soft. It really is perfect for somebody who just wants the most minimal makeup. Now, the entire range of Curator has got, all the quads are different. I mean, you've got a couple which are one's all mattes. I wrote it down actually. The one that's all mattes is Minimalist, which are sort of these lovely warm neutral tones. And then there's Modernist, which is basically matte plums with just one soft metallic in there. But they're all, I mean, I've tried them and tried them and tried them. They're all this glorious, absolutely glorious, smooth, soft, creamy formula. It's just fantastic. I mean, the packaging, I feel, is very cheap. It's not in any way representative of the quality that's inside. And even sort of, I mean, there's a mirror. It's a bit of a slightly odd kind of shape, the way it's sort of, it's not really a very usable size mirror. And even the way these are housed, it's just a bit tinny. I mean, I know it's their kind of aesthetic, this kind of, it's like a lozenge tin or a tin of tobacco or something like that. But if you have been looking at these and you're not sure, honestly, it's what you're paying for. And I know it's, you know, that is what you're paying for. You're not really paying for amazing packaging, is the quality of these eyeshadows. They're absolutely superb. I have worn them and worn them and worn them. And actually, the shade that I have used the most has actually surprised me, because it's basically been the bronzy shade that I've kind of smushed over my eyes. And if I had the time and the inclination, I've put, as I said, either a bit of the opal, which I feel is this sort of standout shade, or this one, which I can't remember the name of, but is also lovely. This one here. It's a sort of a creamy, very light beige shade, but just so soft, so beautiful. It is the work of absolute seconds just to blend it on your eyelids. It's just wonderful. Such a lovely product. I'm so glad I tried it. This is one of the several products that I really only tried and bought for review purposes. And I'm so happy that I did. I'm really, really delighted with it, because if you compare it, for example, to the Dolce & Gabbana that we looked at earlier, this is a completely different kettle of fish, in the sense that this is very much that easy eyeshadow look that you want on days when you're possibly not wearing that much more makeup. I mean, oftentimes I've just put a little bit of that on, a bit of mascara, and you know, I was going to say a bit of lipstick, but it's not typically. I'm doing the lipstick sort of, you know, once I get to my destination. It's so easy, so blendable. They're just lovely. I just wish the packaging was nicer. I just feel that they deserve a lot more than this packaging, but perfection when it comes to the actual formula and how they lie on the lids and how they last. Absolute perfection. The winner for the award most likely to be photogenic goes to the Bloom palette. Now, I do realise that this may be a bit controversial, because my sense when it was released is there was a little bit of fatigue from some people, because, or a lot of people rather, because it was deemed to be, you know, yet another warm palette from Natasha. I was not so much in that camp. I was in the camp of being initially really excited and then disappointed that all the looks that I managed to create from it ended up looking a little bit samey. Then what happened was I kind of forgot about it for a bit. I think there were quite a lot of releases straight after. And then, I don't know how it happened, I went back to it, and you know what? I wear it probably at least twice a week, I think. I haven't stopped using it. It's been on my table in the room that I record. I have taken it away with me. You know, on the weekends when I'm not in that room, it comes down to the bathroom with me. It's done quite a little bit of travelling for a little palette without a passport. What could I say? It's a bit of an illegal person. So my point is, it's been a really good addition to my collection, and I didn't think this was the way it was going to be. There's a shade here called Equinox, this one here, that Natasha made a big deal of, that it was going to be this kind of beautiful shimmer, shifty, you know, whatever. Just didn't work for me. Didn't work for me when I was demoing. Didn't work for me when I was swatching and reviewing. It's gone hard pan. I don't know what's happened. I don't know whether I got a dud or whether it's me. I've no idea. But every single one of the rest of the shades has been an absolute delight. And you know what? I don't know. I sort of, look, on the one hand, partly I think, well, maybe she could have given me a quad, because if I'm getting the same look each time, does it matter? But the thing is, then I had a look at when I wear it, either I'm sort of filming or I'm with other people, or whatever it is, other photos taken, it looks to me like they're different, but actually when I look at the photographs or I look at the videos, they do look different. I think what it is I get a little bit of peachy, bloomy blindness. I think that's what happens, because this is a really lovely palette. It's been a great addition. I've really enjoyed it. And even though it does seem a bit dull in a peachy way, in a kind of peachy, pinky, apricot-y way, I don't know. These are the colours that kind of suit me and I look healthy with them. And that's why I'm giving it the award for most photogenic, because I had to have some photos taken about a month ago and I wasn't sure what eyeshadow to put on. And then I thought, oh, you know what, I'll do this because these feel like quite homogenous and I could, you know, everything else seemed to, I don't know, somehow it seemed to blend. And you know what? Those photos looked really great. It wasn't so much that you could see the eyeshadow. I just looked awake. The shades suited me. It was just a love. It wasn't too shimmery. There's that as well. It wasn't too shimmery, not too metallic. There isn't like an amazing array of, in fact, there's none of incredible metallics that Natasha normally gives us. And I'm somebody, as you know, who does really enjoy them. However, shades like Ember, I mean, this is really lovely. I mean, I just really love that. It's not got the shift, it's not got, you know, it's not got that, but it has got a very soft metallic quality to it. This roux is just lovely. I mean, so many of the shades are just beautiful. And actually, when I see them, even this, which I don't particularly like gold in eyeshadow. I don't mind a soft gold or a cooler like a champagne, but I'm not really a goldy person. But even this goldy shade is so soft that it's absolutely, in fact, it's more than fine. It's lovely. It's really, really lovely. So this has been a kind of unexpected, and I know I've said this for a couple of other palettes as well, it has been a kind of unexpected win for me because it didn't work out the way I thought it would. You know, I was sort of initially excited, a bit annoyed about Equinox because that was the shade that I thought I'd get that kind of Natasha feel. Then I thought all the looks looked the same. Then I kind of left it and then I rediscovered it. And now, of course, I really love it. So maybe it's another one of those date 'em till you hate 'em palettes for me, in that I kind of kept going in different ways with a kind of a couple of hiatuses. And now, honestly, I would say it's absolutely one of my favourite Natasha palettes. It really is. It's so wearable. And for me, anyway, I'm a medium tan, as you know. It's wearable throughout the year. It's just really lovely. I'm just delighted with it. I really am. And kind of against the odds, really. I just wish Equinox had worked for me. I do. I just wish it had worked for me. I feel a bit shortchanged, but it still wins the award because, you know, it's lovely. Now, you won't be surprised at all, I'm sure, to hear that the penultimate award of this video is the palette most likely to become an accountant. I know, you've been waiting for it. I know, I understand. And I kept you waiting right till the end. I get it. Here's what you need to know. Earlier in the year, I reviewed some palettes from Morphe. I wouldn't ordinarily have done it, but I was so struck by the colour stories, I thought they were worth a go, even though it's not particularly high-end or luxury beauty. However, I felt they were worth a go. So I bought a couple and I thought, well, I'll review them or I'll at least be able to show them to you kind of quickly. And I was amazed how good they are. So they're £16. I bought Outer Spice and what's the other one? Rich Glitch. This is what they look like. And at the time of my review, here they go, sorry. I'm sorry, the lighting's really bad. I'm on holiday. This is the best I could do. I do apologise. But my point is, at the time, I was astounded at how good they were. And I'm still slightly flummoxed, really, that nobody talks about them. I know they're not a luxury brand. I know it's not fancy. However, the quality is so good. Now, just to be clear, I don't want to say the same about the, I'm counting them now, 4, 8, 12. The 12 pan, I bought one of the 12 pans at the same time as these two for the review purposes. And the one I bought was Moonstone, and I was not impressed with that. So that does not get to grow up to be an accountant, because I didn't think that was very good value, even though it was, it was obviously a very kind of good price point, but I didn't think it was good value because I didn't think it was a great product. These, on the other hand, are great. They really are. They're smooth, there's lots of pigment, there's lots of shimmer, they're great fun, and they're all you need. In other words, it's a complete palette. You've got mattes, you've got lovely mattes in order to line your eyelids as well, and then you've got lovely shimmers and fantastic metallics. I mean, seriously, what is not to like? Just lovely, really, really lovely. Just look at that pigment. I mean, gorgeous, and they stay on, they blend like a dream, fabulous. But look, for £16 you get a complete palette, you still get a mirror, which I find sort of slightly unbelievable, and it's a nice little compact. Actually, a very close friend of mine had a lot of nieces to buy gifts for this Christmas, and she asked me what I would recommend, and basically she thought that I would sort of recommend maybe a nice lip gloss or something like that. She was astounded that for £16 she could give her most beloved nieces, such lovely eyeshadows. I just think these are worth a go, and they're particularly worth a go, it seems to me, if there's a colour story that you're attracted to that, perhaps isn't something you want to take the risk for a whole sort of £50 or £60 for that kind of palette. Just lovely. They've got lots of really interesting shades. It's just that with these two, I ended up using them so much, I kind of didn't feel I needed any more. It's not just the price that I have to tell you about. It's just that I kind of thought at the time, look what they can do, with not a very high price point, and still give us a mirror and still give us some decent packaging. I mean, honestly, I would argue that this packaging is nicer than the Hourglass, even though clearly the Hourglass formula is streets ahead. I wouldn't want to compare them from that point of view. I'm just saying, in terms of the complete package, you do get just a really nice compact. I thought these were worth flagging up, not least because they're fabulous for gifts, but also, as I said, if you're looking for something that's not a lot of commitment, and we're all spent up by this time of year and for the next couple of months. So these are definitely worth your consideration. And there's loads of this, well, there's 4, so I say loads, there's not loads. There's 4 other compacts, and they are all lovely. There is one that I had my eye on that I do want to flag up to you, just to let you know which one that is. And it is the one called Python Code. It is these gorgeous bluey greeny shades with really a lovely soft gold and a lovely bronzy shade. That's probably one that I will end up buying at some point this year, particularly if there's a sale. Why not? But anyway, they are worth looking at. But more importantly, these palettes are worthy winners of most likely to become an accountant. There you go. And now on to our final award. Now we've reached the final award. Now these awards aren't actually in any order. They're really in the order that I kind of wrote my notes, and as I thought about the palettes and how I'd use them throughout the year, because as I said, all of them have to kind of fulfill the basic criteria rather, that I've really, really reached for them, albeit with gaps, but that I have really wanted to enjoy them and go back to them and so on. So I suppose it's fitting in a way that we end with this one. And this is the award for most likely to become a style icon. And the winner of this is the Givenchy 9.15. I've got it here. It is the most precious palette. It really is. Now, I had to wait an awfully long time, not just me, for it to arrive in the UK. Everybody else, well, I think the States, I think North America got it before us, maybe not just the States, I'm not sure. And then we got it in a kind of very half-hearted release. However, I managed to get my sticky little paws on one, and I'm so glad I did. It has just been an unmitigated delight. It really, really has. 4 finishes: matte, satin, metallics and shimmers, all of them super wearable, all of them blendable, creamy, heavenly, absolutely heavenly. I think the compact itself is beautiful. It comes with a mirror, and for once, I don't think any other brand does this, or certainly not one I've come across. Let me know if I'm wrong about this. It's got lovely little brushes, and normally I kind of discard them, but you fit them together, and how about that? An adult-sized hand can actually use these. And you know what? I have used them in a pinch, and they are absolutely fine. Of course, it's not the same as using, normal makeup brushes, but you can actually get your business done with this at a pinch. And as I said, I have used them. And good for Givenchy for actually, bearing in mind that somebody who uses this is not going to be a two-year-old. I mean, seriously, who wants to be using these when they're so tiny and easy to drop? This way, you've got some control, you're not going to drop them, and they're just pleasant and comfortable to use. However, so there's that as well. However, back to these. I mean, I want to be able to say to you about standout shades. They're all standout shades. They really are. They are absolutely lovely. The mattes are really creamy. The shimmers are just beautiful and soft. Look at this. Look how lovely that is. Look how soft that is. You can build it. They're eminently buildable, but they go on soft. So if you're like me and you're a bit heavy-handed, it kind of stays your hand. You still get the most beautiful, soft, classy finish. Just absolutely lovely. There's dimension, there's blendability, they're easy. The colour story is wonderful because you've got these lovely cool tones, you've got the warm tones, and you've also got neutral. There's a lot going on in this palette. There really is. And, by the time you close it, it's not that big, and you just get everything. It's not, when I say it's not that big, I mean it's not bulky, Just lovely. I'm so glad I got this. This is my first Givenchy palette, I believe. And a few months ago, I went back and I got the 9.12, but I don't have it to show you. It's cool tones, absolutely lovely. Same glorious formula. Really, really lovely. I didn't get the Christmas release. I was kind of a bit underwhelmed by it, to be honest. And I don't know what's happening next year. I just hope it's going to be something I'm excited about, because this formula is absolutely to die for. It lasts a long time. I mean, they say it's 12-hour wear. It really is 12-hour wear. It's really blendable. The shades are just glorious. And what I love about them, and I suppose it's a slight contrast to Natasha's Bloom, which I realise is a completely different kind of beast, really. But what I really appreciate in this is the range of cool and warm and neutral. You just get a little bit of everything. I have used this as a one and done, this shade here, so many times. This one, look at that. It's just so lovely. A very soft lavender shot through with silver, but not clunky, not glittery, not chunky, not glittery, still delightfully smooth, really lovely. And on my dry, crepey, aging lids that are really only going one way, I mean, I am staring down the barrel of, decrepitude daily, and they're fine, they're beautiful, they're more than fine, they just blend really nicely. It's just been an absolute delight, and I want more. Periodically, I look at the other palettes and I am tempted. There's one that's actually not dissimilar to this that I may yet get, but anyway, all I'm saying is these are lovely. If you've not tried the formula, then maybe it's worth earmarking it for next year. Let's see what they come out with. I'm not even sure whether this is still available, but it's just the most lovely formula. It's a beautiful palette. It really is. As I said, this tells me a lot. This tells me that somebody was thinking about the real user experience, which I have to say really matters to me. And at this price point, I feel we do deserve a little bit of respect, or at least a little bit of consideration, if not respect, I'll take it. But anyway, there we have it. This is the 2025 Eyeshadow Palette Yearbook. What do you think? Did I miss anything out? Did I miss one of your absolute favourites? Or are you outraged at something that has been included and perhaps didn't deserve, and you might have actually substituted one of your favourites or something that I've missed. I'm kind of conscious that there are some brands that are, you know, not included. A notable exception, I suppose. A notable exception, I suppose, maybe in your view, Dior's not kind of represented. You know, I haven't really included. Well, I haven't included at all this year's Mothership. Is this something that you absolutely loved? Is there anything else? And of course, there was the cheeky little Suqqu as most likely to stay single. Is there another single that you think really would have deserved to sit amongst all these palettes with multiple shades? Do you feel there's one single out there? Possibly not the Suqqu, and I know it's quite hard to get as well. Let me know. I love hearing from you. Do give me a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video.